and that should be going. And then I just wanted to introduce myself. So I'm Paige Flam. I am the manager of communications for the Giv.care agency, and I'm mostly in charge of these webinars each month. I send out a lot of the emails that you guys get that are from the entire company. And so if that helps put a name to the face that you see in your inbox from time to time, that's who I am. I do have a daughter with cerebral palsy, so she has both physical and intellectual disabilities. And so when we talk about different topics on these webinars, I am speaking a lot from my own personal experience, but then also trying to, incorporate some best practices into things as well. And so I do have a heart for the things that I talk about on these webinars, and I hope that they're helpful for you guys. I also hope that these webinars can be a collaboration between all of us, and we can kind of talk throughout the webinar and chat about different things. So if you guys have comments or questions or things that you'd like to talk about, feel free to interrupt me while the recording is going, and we can talk about things as we go. I am going to go ahead and share my screen so that you guys can see these slides. Let's see. Can you guys see that all right?
Yeah. Yes. Yep.
Perfect, thanks. So today we are going to be talking about navigating the holidays with individuals with disabilities, and we wanted to take the time to do this before Christmas because we're not going to be doing a December webinar. We know you guys are going to be really busy as we get closer to the holidays, and so we wanted to be able to put out a resource that was going to be helpful and useful for you guys as you are navigating different things that are outside of your normal routine over the next few months. We did also want to highlight that it is National Family Caregivers Month. And so on behalf of Giv.care, we really just wanted to say thank you to all of our caregivers who serve their clients so dutifully each day here at Giv.care. And so you should have gotten a little email from us this morning as a thank you note with a little Starbucks gift card that you can scan for a treat that's used for today only. And so if you haven't found that, go dig for that in your inbox and you can get a little treat on us today. We just really value, excuse me, all of our caregivers here at Giv.care. And we know that Starbucks is just, it's not a very big thing, but it's a way that we're able to show you guys how much we really do appreciate the work that you're doing for the clients and families that you work with. Each webinar, we are obligated to show our HIPAA compliance notice. I won't read this entire thing, but we do allow for Q&A and questions throughout the webinar. And so we just ask that you do not use any identifying information about clients with Giv.care. We understand that you might mention autism or cerebral palsy or any of those things, and that's totally fine to bring up. We just ask that you do not use your specific client's name just to protect their privacy in the webinar, and because this is being recorded and will be sent out to other people as well. So today we're going to be discussing understanding the challenges that the holidays bring to individuals with disabilities and setting appropriate expectations for family gatherings and different events out in the community that you might be participating in, and then planning and preparing for those holiday activities. And then we'll also discuss the limitations in setting healthy expectations with family, and then some inclusive and sensory-friendly activities and celebrations that you can do throughout the month as well, or the next couple months. So to discuss how the holiday season can impact individuals with disabilities, we need to understand the different challenges that come with that. And so as you guys are probably all aware, and I have experienced as a parent, any change into the routine and change to the daily structure can really impact a lot of different individuals with disabilities, which can lead to anxiety and different behaviors that we can see. And then these challenging behaviors, it spirals down to the caregiver or the parent. And so trying to navigate all of these things ahead of time to provide the best outcomes later will provide better results for not only the client or the child if you're the parent, but it'll also result in better outcomes for you as well. And so those are the kinds of things that we want to discuss today in the webinar. So there are some coping strategies that we wanted to discuss today, and the first one was visual schedules. And so this could look like making a map of, like, say you're going to go to Thanksgiving dinner at grandma's house. You can make a little picture map that has all the different parts of the day. So we're going to wake up and you can have a picture of them getting out of bed, and then you could have like another little cartoon picture of eating breakfast and then getting ready for the morning, and you could have a toothbrush, and then you could say we're going to get in the car And then we're going to go to grandma's house and you can show a picture of grandma's house. And then we're going to eat dinner with all these family members and you can show a picture of the family members. And if you map out the entire day, then they can start making a plan in their mind of what all those different things are going to look like. And so nothing will be a huge shock for them when they're thrown off of what their daily routine looks like because you've talked about it ahead of time. Another thing that has worked really well in our family are gradual transitions. My daughter, if she is really excited about whatever it is she's working on, if we just say, hey, it's time to leave, and we pick her up and throw her on her hip and walk out the door, that is usually when we will experience the weeping and the wailing and the gnashing of teeth. And so for us, it's been really important to work on gradual transitions with her and say, hey, I see that you are having a great time playing with this toy. We're going to leave in 10 minutes, but I'll come back in just a little bit and just give you another warning so that you can prepare to leave. And then I'll come back in 5 minutes and I'll say, hey, we're going to leave in just 5 more minutes. So I'll come back in 2 minutes and start helping you clean up, okay? And then she'll say, okay. And then I'll come back 2 minutes later and I'll help her start cleaning up the toy and getting ready to leave. And I feel like that doesn't always eliminate 100% of the meltdowns, but it helps to resolve some of them, and it is a way better outcome than if we just ripped her out of the situation immediately. And so that has been something that has worked really well for us. And then lastly, just communication. So whether you're using a visual schedule or gradual transitions or just talking with them throughout the day leading up to different transitions throughout the day, like, hey, we're going to go eat dinner in 5 minutes. Hey, we're going to go to Aunt Susie's house in 2 minutes. Like just constantly letting them know what is going to happen so that they can expect it usually results in better outcomes. Another thing is setting the appropriate expectations for family gatherings and events. And so this can look like just talking to family ahead of time and being like, hey, things are going to look different for us. For our family, my husband has a huge family. He's one of 9 kids, and we are the only family of his 9 siblings that have a child with a disability. And so oftentimes things always look different for us, and it always throws the family off because they think that we should just be able to like go full steam with the rest of them. But things often look different for us. And so being upfront ahead of time and communicating with them and saying like, hey, this activity might not work for us and we're okay with that, but this is how it might look for our family. I feel like that just helps to set healthy expectations for everyone involved. I'd love to just pause for a minute and just ask if you guys have any strategies that you've talked about with families or how you've set those boundaries or expectations ahead of time to kind of make those events easier for your family. We'd love to just get some ideas from you guys if you have any experience with any of those things.
Trying to get someplace where it's not quiet. One of the things that we have used when we're going into different things like that is to get some kind of item that he can take with him. But usually what we'll do if we go and get, like maybe you've been to the dollar store and we'll get something, but we'll get the item and then get the same item to share so that he can keep a hold of his, but there can still be a little bit of capacity to share and interact without that being so stressful for him. Or even if he just has a favorite item, sometimes we'll try to take, a similar item that he is willing just to do that. And that seems to be helpful. And then just having, I don't want not necessarily earplugs, but I guess if you're functional enough, that would work good. But having some kind of headset that he can put on to listen to music or something when the sound gets to be too much has been super helpful.
That is an awesome strategy. One that I actually didn't even consider when making this is just, the headphones and like noise canceling, because there's so many different noises and things at family gatherings and there's so many people. And so the headphones is a really great tip too, to be able to have those and kind of calm some of that sensory input. I love that.
Well, sorry. And also one thing to go along with that, I also do that, but as well as drawing too. My person likes to headphones and draw to kind of get them in their stress level down. So that works for me.
Yeah, that's awesome. Just knowing like what their thing is that they love and just making sure you bring those things with you.
And make sure they have like their own little corner, like this is where you can go, or this is what you can do if you're feeling stressed out.
Yes, I love that. Having like a place where they can just have their own place to calm down and debrief and
Yeah.
get feeling good again. That's so good too.
Yeah, along that same line that you guys are, that same thread, because we have some food challenges with capacity to eat certain foods and that, always try to, if I'm not sure that if we're not like showing up to something where we know, we always try to make sure that we have food that he enjoys and that he can eat with us so that he has options, because that can be a trigger. Being hungry and not having food, heck, that can be a trigger for me. So
I love that. Yeah. And I think that's something that I've had to do with my family a lot as well. I actually have an older son who has autism, and he just loves turkey sandwiches, and that's about it. And so a lot of times we'll just give him a turkey sandwich before we go to something, but then everyone is kind of like having like, why is Kyle not eating? And we're just like, Kyle just doesn't like the food. It's not a reflection of you as a person at all. It's just he's not going to eat this Thanksgiving dinner, and that is completely okay. And he'll go. But that's like another expectation that we've had to set with the family, that my son not eating is not a reflection of you. It's just his thing that he's doing right now. And so, yeah, I love that. But probably bringing the turkey sandwich would make Thanksgiving a bit more inclusive for him as well. So that's a good tip. Okay, so we will go ahead and move through some more of our slides. So the first thing that I always say is just mentally prepare myself for any family gathering or activity. It's going to be completely normal for the individual with a disability to feel sensory overload or overly stimulated, and that is just to be expected when you're doing things outside of your normal routine. But one thing that I've told myself and have to tell myself repeatedly is that the meltdowns are not a reflection of my parenting or your caregiving skills, or it's not even a reflection of them. It's just a reflection of current needs not being met. And so I've had to tell myself that repeatedly over the years, that like, it's not a bad situation. It's just, this is just how it is right now, but we can do things to help them, and like the strategies that we just discussed. And another thing that I think has been helpful for me over the years is just accepting that our experience at a family gathering is going to look different than everyone else's experience, and that is just really okay, and that there's some freedom and just like releasing that pressure for yourself and doing what works best for you and your family. And leaving early is my favorite thing in the world to do. And so I love to give that permission to other people, that if an event is 4 hours long, you actually don't need to stay the entire 4 hours, and that this can definitely be a form of self-care. A recent example for us, and this was my sister-in-law got married over the weekend, and the reception was 3 hours long, and my daughter made it very clear that after 2 hours, she was ready to leave. And we could have forced her to stay for that third hour, but we also knew that we didn't want to like deal with her screaming and negotiating with her for the entire last hour. So we left the reception an hour early, and no one cared, and it was completely fine, and we all survived, and we had a great time for 2 hours that was meaningful and wholesome for us, and we avoided meltdowns, and I loved that for us. And so I think at this point, all of our family knows that if we leave something early, that it has nothing to do with anyone else, and it's just us meeting our needs. And so, yeah, if leaving early is what's best for you, then give yourself permission to do that. And then just again, preparing and talking about things ahead of time, going through those social stories like we discussed before, where you have each piece laid out, or role playing through an activity like where you pretend to get in the car and you pretend to drive to grandma's house and you pretend to get out and go knock on the door, and going through all of that ahead of time and talking about the event can just really help the individual with the disability start wrapping their mind around what is going to be happening. And then setting expectations with family can be really tricky, especially if you have a really big family and they have expectations of what is going to be happening. Just having open and honest communication with them ahead of time, and just saying like, hey, this event might be hard for so-and-so, and this is what the event might look like for us, and I just hope that you're okay with that. and just setting really clear boundaries and expectations for everyone ahead of time, so that when you show up to an event and all of a sudden you're whipping out headphones and all these different things, everyone's talked about it ahead of time, so everyone is okay with what's happening because they're also prepared for it. Not that we have to always accommodate our family members, but just giving them a heads up is always nice too. And then focusing on inclusion. So if you're talking about these things with your family ahead of time, just suggest like, hey, I would love to bring an art project that we could all work on together. And I think Timmy would really like this art project, and it could be a way for us to all bond together and kind of make a plan for how that might look. So along those lines of having inclusive and sensory friendly activities, here's a few different things that you can do. So having a variety of options on hand that the individual with disability can choose from. You could say, hey, we have this slime activity, or we could do this painting craft, or we have these little wind chimes that we could put together. Maybe just having like 2 or 3 options for them to pick from, so that they get a choice in what they're going to do. But then also making sure that the activity is accessible and easy for them to understand and can be adapted to their needs. If someone's not very good with fine motor skills, putting together a wind chime might not be the best activity to do with them. And so maybe you might do something that's more of like a Thanksgiving scavenger hunt around the house, where they just have to find different items. Make whatever activity you're going to do accessible to their needs, and then encourage everyone to participate. Sometimes it is helpful to say, hey, this is a nice corner where you can calm down and relax. But if the goal is to have the whole family together, we don't want Timmy in the corner doing an art project by himself while everyone else is hanging out. It would be a great opportunity to get everyone involved in doing the art project with Timmy. And so then you have that inclusive engagement from the entire family. And then last but not least, respecting the choices. You might bring 5 activities to a family gathering, and Timmy doesn't want to do any of them, and he just wants to sit on his iPad and watch a show, and that is completely okay, which is why I always say screen time isn't always bad. Of course, we never want the iPad to be the #1 parent, but sometimes it is just really helpful that I can give my daughter her iPad and I can go have a great conversation with my mother-in-law or talk to my husband's siblings and not be, I mean, I don't want to, whatever the nicest way to say this is, but like sometimes my daughter will ask for my attention 80,000 times in the middle of one conversation. And so sometimes it's nice for her to have her iPad and I can have that conversation. And I feel like we've all been there. So say that. And then we have put out a lot of resources over the last couple of years since we've been in business for different holiday activities that you can do with individuals with disabilities. And so we have a blog post all about Thanksgiving crafts, Thanksgiving activities, Christmas crafts, and all these craft projects that we have. They come in like a bulk set for like 10 to 20 bucks. And so you can just buy one of them on Amazon, and then you'll have enough supplies for most of the family to be able to do it. We'll send these links out to you guys in a follow-up email after this webinar, just so that you can kind of look through them and see if any of them are useful for you guys. But you don't have to worry about writing this information down because we will send that out to you. And then there were some fun Thanksgiving activities as well, like, you know, your individual with a disability might love serving at a food pantry in the morning, or feeding the homeless dinner, or doing a family turkey trot, even if you're just walking or someone's pushing a wheelchair. There's a lot of good family activities that you can do in that post as well. And that is it for the webinar. So again, just thank you to everyone who's on the call today and watching it in the future. And a big thank you to our caregivers this month for National Family Caregivers Month. But at this point, we would just love to hear from you guys and just learn from you, like what things have worked really well for you guys in the past with family gatherings. What types of activities do you like to do at a family gathering to help get everyone involved? And just how you guys have had experience navigating these situations in your family. We would love to hear from you if you would like to share. Yeah, Irene, did you have something?
Oh, no.
Oh, sorry. I saw your bubble light up.
I guess I'm talking a lot today.
No.
One of the things that's been helpful over the years, especially when we had more kids, when it's more than just the child and the caregiver, is to take more than one vehicle to a family party. so that not everybody has to leave, that the individuals that need to and choose to leave can leave. We have even like sort of spelled each other if that child is just having too much trouble being home. I mean, being at the event and they're like, no, I want to be home. I need to be home. We've, like you said, if you've got a 4-hour event, then maybe one of us is there for a couple of the hours. If we both want to be there, we'll take turns if we have that opportunity to shift off with a caregiver. We have even, it's less inclusive, I know, but some things that have just been too overwhelming, we have actually employed having another caregiver go so that the rest of the family could go do that. So that, and it, I know sometimes that doesn't sound best, but some of the activities that has been our best situation because our young man did have no interest in the stress that it caused him to be there.
Yeah,
So
I love
we've just done a lot of variety. The other thing is there's a good portion of the time when that child is, they're thinking, oh no, we're ready to go, we're ready to go. And quite honestly, we all are there. And so I would just say as a caregiver, if you're in an event and you are just ready to go, it is okay for you to decide and to leave early, even if it's not about the child or the individual with a disability. And that can help make it enjoyable for everybody else because when the caregiver gets to that stressed point, it can make it more stressful for everybody else in the room. So that's sort of our things. But yeah, taking separate vehicles when needed to give options, shifting off, being willing to allow other people that have the capacity to perhaps sit with that child for a while so that you can go visit with somebody else. It can be where you feel like you're the only one that can fill that at times. And that's not true. That is not, there are times and that's true, but that's not always true. So that's the stuff that we've employed to try to make gatherings, holidays, and otherwise a little bit easier.
Yeah, I love that. There was a mom last year in a different webinar that was talking about how she had never been able to go to any of her other children's basketball games because the individual with a disability in their home could never sit through an entire basketball game. And so when they had signed up with Giv.care and started having caregivers come in, the fact that they could have a caregiver come and stay with that person while she was able to go to a basketball game for the first time to see one of her kids play basketball was like one of the most life-changing things. And so I love that. Like, yeah, sometimes the best option is having a caregiver come in so that the entire family can do something together that they enjoy. And that doesn't mean that the individual who's staying home isn't enjoying their time as well, because that's what's most meaningful for them at that time, is to be able to have their needs met at home. And so I think that is a great strategy for those situations as well. Does anyone else have anything they'd like to share today?
I just wanted to say thank you because this is my first one and I've already learned so much that I can do.
Awesome.
It makes it so much more easier.
I
do it too, so like many of you.
That's awesome. I'm hopeful that this will be good for you this holiday season as you navigate all these different things. That was like our number one hope doing this. So I love that it's already been helpful.
Thank you.
All right. Well, we will go ahead and end today's webinar. But again, just thank you so much to everyone who participated. We love hearing from you guys and we love being able to meet and chat with you guys when we do these. And so it's always fun for us as an agency to be able to connect with the parents and the clients and everyone. So thank you so much for attending, and we will see you guys at our next webinar, which will hopefully be in January after the crazy holiday season. So we'll love to have you guys come back and report on how all of these things went or didn't go well and let us know how we can improve for next year.
Well done. Thank you.
All right. Thank you guys. We'll see you later. Bye.